We've been working on our Impala here for a couple days now. We just finished putting a new hub assembly on the side and new rotors and new brake pads on the front as well. We did pads and rotors on the back a week or so ago. What we're doing is just getting it ready for our yearly inspection in New York State. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm just going to go over a few of the things that I check before I take it down to the inspection station. I want it to pass the first time through. I don't want to get there and have him, the inspector tell me that I need ball joints or tie rods or even a light bulb for that matter. So I'm going to go over a few things that I check before we take him down, just to show you what I do. First, we always check the ball joints. And what I do is I put a pry bar. Now the vehicle is jacked up on jack stands or on axle stands, and I put a pry bar underneath the tire, and I give it a good pull up, trying to wiggle it. You can do it by hand too, if you're strong, but a pry bar does seem to help a little, and that seems good and tight. No play in the ball joint. Sometimes putting it on a little bit of an angle also helps. Feel any movement, but it seems tight. Next, the tie rod ends. Any play back and forth like this will show wear in the tie rods. We did those about a year ago, and they still seem good and tight. Brakes, you want to make sure there's at least 30% left, 25-30% left of the pads. You want to make sure the rotors aren't too rusty. The rotors that I should have showed you. I took the rotors off of this car and I set them out to the road, stood them up for any of the scrappers driving by could pick them up, and they're already gone. They only lasted out there about 15-20 minutes. But what I would have showed you is how the one side, the outside, looked pretty decent. The inside had a ring around it of about half inch or so of just pure rust all the way around. So that's why we replaced those. And even the vanes and stuff, the fins were getting pretty rusty. When you live in the Rust Belt, you don't really ever change pads without changing rotors. So we greased that all up as well. We got all the brakes working good, front and back. So the suspension looks decent. The struts look okay. The rear shocks look decent. They don't seem to be leaking. On these Impalas, one of the other things, I'm not sure I can zoom in, is the some of the suspension mounts. Let's see if I can't get light in there. I've had to have that replaced once. Where the A-arm attaches to the frame, there's a bushing right here that will wear out. So yeah, you put a pry bar underneath it, give it a couple wiggles. If it wiggles, yep, it needs to be replaced, but that's good and tight. The parking brake needs to work. We'll test that after we get it down off the jack stands. All the lights need to work, and we can go through and test those in a minute as well. Horn. One of the major things is you can't have a check engine light on. If you have a service engine light or a check engine light, you're pretty much guaranteed to fail. Alright, well, let's get it off the jack stands here, and we'll back it out and test all the lights. We'll just go through and turn all the blinkers on. Make sure they work front and back. Got the running lights on. High beams. We're good there. So we've checked all four corners, and it looks like all the lights work. The only thing we haven't checked yet is the reverse lights. Not sure how well you can see that in the sun, but both reverse lights are working. The brake lights, you can just check those, the bulbs, by turning the four-way flashers on. But what you can't check is the third brake light. So what I do is I just take our old snow brush and wedge it in here somehow up against the brake pedal, and then I'll go back and look and see if it's on. And again, I'm not sure how easy that shows up in the sun, but it is on. So we've got all the brake lights working. Something else we'll check is your wiper blades. So take a look at them, lift them up, make sure they're still in decent shape. If not, replace them, because they will look. So one of the last things we're going to check for before we take it in for inspection is the parking brake, or the emergency brake. We just give that a squeeze, see the brake light's on, put it in drive. It should hold the car. We should be able to give it a little bit of gas and it shouldn't move. See it revving up a little bit. I'm not sure what, oh, there it goes. Yep. It'll go to about 1300 RPM before it moves. Let's see if I can't click it one more time here. Always a little scared that these cables are gonna freeze and or snap. Yeah, I think that's probably good. It does work. And it releases, which is the really good part. Always makes me nervous. I always think that they're gonna freeze. And as you can see, it's a warm one, so I think we're gonna call it a day. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And I'd appreciate if you'd subscribe to my channel. And thanks for watching.